grab a spice jar from the pantry or maybe one of those health supplements and just stop and wonder, like, how did this actually get here? I mean, the journey from a farm halfway across the world to your kitchen cabinet is this incredible story of logistics, quality control, and, well, a whole lot of trust. So today, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're going to deconstruct a global exporter to see exactly how they make it all work. It's going to give us this really unique peek into the engine room of global trade. So let me ask you straight up, where do your spices really come from? You know, that turmeric, that black pepper, that trendy superfood powder everyone's talking about. The answer? It's way more complicated than just a name of a country on a label. It's this massive, intricate global supply chain. And today we're going to zoom in on one of the most critical links in that whole chain, the exporter. Okay, so let's meet our case study for today, a company called Dwarikon Exports. Now, these guys are based in India, and their whole deal is supplying premium spices and plant powders to big food and health companies all over the globe. By taking a look at how they run their business, we can really start to get a handle on the biggest challenges and the smartest solutions in this entire industry.
All right, and that brings us right into our first section. Because when you boil it all down, this whole business is really built on three core pillars: purity, consistency, and trust. Seriously, if an exporter can't nail all three of those, they've got no chance. They just can't compete on the world stage.
So let's put ourselves in the buyer's shoes for a second. Imagine you're a huge food brand. What's the one thing that keeps you up at night? It's consistency. It's absolutely everything. You need to know that the onion powder you buy in January is going to have the exact same flavor, color, and texture as the batch you get in June. If there's even a tiny variation, it could totally ruin your final product. And that's a massive risk to your brand, to your reputation, to your bottom line.
Okay, so if consistency is a #1 problem for the buyer, then the exporter's entire business model has to be built around solving that exact problem. This leads us right to what we can call the exporter's promise, basically how they go about building the kind of trust they need to even play in this global market.
And here it is. This is the direct answer to all those fears we were just talking about. Every single one of these bullet points is a promise. It's designed to take the risk out of the equation for that global buyer. Export-grade quality? That just means it meets the tough international standards. Hygienic processing? That tells you it's safe. Bulk supply means you can order a ton of it and the quality won't dip. See? It's all about getting rid of any and all uncertainty. Let's just zoom in on one of these promises for a sec. Documentation and logistics. I know, it's not the sexiest part of the business, but trust me, it is absolutely critical. Getting a shipment from, say, India to Europe involves a literal mountain of paperwork, customs clearances, all kinds of regulations. So an exporter who can handle all that stuff seamlessly, man, they're worth their weight in gold. Why? Because they take a massive headache and a huge potential risk right off the buyer's plate. So we've seen this term pop up a few times now, export-grade quality. But what does that really mean? It's not just some fuzzy marketing slogan, not at all. It's actually a specific standard. It means the product isn't just pure and consistent, it's also been processed and packaged specifically to meet the super high expectations and tough regulations of international markets. It's a whole other level. So a company can make all of these promises, right? But how do they actually prove they can deliver? Well, a lot of the time, they do it through what's called a hero product. This is that one single item in their lineup that perfectly shows off their quality, their capabilities. It's the perfect example of their core strength. And for Dwarikon Exports, that hero product is Moringa leaf powder. They talk about it as their core strength. It's made from these super carefully selected leaves, and it's processed under tightly controlled conditions. So this isn't just any old powder. You could almost think of it as the ambassador for their entire brand. But what is it that makes this product so special? Well, these features right here, they tell the whole story. That vibrant green color, that screams freshness and tells you it was dried properly. The high nutritional density, that's a huge deal for the health market. And the fact that it's a fine, free-flowing powder, that means it's super easy for other companies to work with in their own manufacturing, whether they're making drink mixes or capsules. And here you go. This is the final step of that whole journey we've been talking about. You see that pure, fine powder on one side? That's what the exporter has meticulously sourced and processed. And on the other side, that's it transformed into the smoothies, supplements, and health foods that end up on our store shelves. This right here is the global supply chain in action. It's pretty cool. But of course, having a hero product is great. But a successful exporter can't just be a one-trick pony. They've got to show they have expertise across a whole range of products. They need to meet all the different needs of their clients around the world. So, diversifying what they offer is just another way they make themselves an essential and super low-risk partner to have.
This table gives us a pretty good look at their wider range of products. And what's really interesting here is how the highlight for each one is a very specific quality marker that a commercial buyer would be looking for. So, high curcumin and turmeric, that's not just a buzzword. It's a real, measurable sign of its potency and health benefits. High oil content in black pepper, to a food producer, that means a bolder, more premium flavor. Every single one of these is a carefully chosen signal of quality and consistency. And that brings us to our final section, which really ties this all together. Okay, so we've seen the product, we've talked about the quality, we've looked at the range, but the end game, the ultimate goal in this business, is to go from being just another supplier to becoming a truly indispensable partner.
And you know, I think this quote from their own materials just sums up their whole philosophy perfectly. The key word here, it's reliable. In a global market that's just full of uncertainty, being reliable is maybe the most valuable thing you can offer. The way they phrase it, it's an open invitation, right? It's not some aggressive sales pitch. It's all about working together. So what does that partnership actually look like in practice? Well, this slide shows a perfect example. It's called private labeling. Basically, this is where Dwarikon supplies the amazing, high-quality ingredient, and their client, some big brand in the US or Europe, gets to package it up under their own name. This means Dwarikon becomes this silent, totally trusted partner working behind the scenes for hundreds of different brands you probably see on store shelves. So, by breaking down a company like this, we get a real sense of how global trade in these agricultural products actually works today. It's all built on trust, consistency, and partnership. But it also leaves us with one last, really big question. We live in a world where we, as consumers, are demanding to know more and more about where our food comes from. So what's next for this supply chain? What does the future of transparency even look like? Definitely something to chew on.